Hello, Jen here, and I am stretching this sketch today. So I'm going to turn that sketch into a 2-page layout for the Stretch the Sketch series. And so I decided to do some watercolors for that kind of crosshatch pattern that is in the layout. You could use a stencil, you could stitch if you wanted, you could just use, some markers or something and do some kind of sketchy crosshatch lines, but I thought it would be fun to play around with the watercolors. So I already did the left-hand side. I was kind of experimenting on that side to see how I wanted it to look and kind of how messy I wanted it to be. And then here you can see what I'm doing for the right hand side, kind of how I'm recreating it. So I didn't count an exact amount of lines or anything like that. I didn't want them to be exactly the same. And I'm just using a few different shades of red. I'm not really blending them or anything like that. But I just kind of wanted them to look really messy, and no two lines look exactly the same. So some of them I'm letting the brush almost run dry as I'm pulling the line, and others are, more opaque, more solid. And then I have the pink kind of going through, and it's really pretty in all the spots where some of the vertical lines were a little bit more wet, and they kind of pooled with the pink going across horizontally. And so, yeah, it's just a fun little detail to have in the back of the paper. And because I'm working with my Hello Love kit, which is my How to Kill a Kit with Style kit for February, I really wanted to just play with all those pinks and reds for the watercolors. And then I'm also pairing this with some ballet photos from one of Kaylin's classes. It was near the end of the season, and they had been working on ballet exams for quite a while, and so they just decided to have a fun class where they could do a little bit of improv and play around a little bit. And they found some of the tutus from the younger class and decided to dress themselves up in tutus, because as seniors they don't often get to do that anymore. So I just took some pictures of the screen that's in the lobby. Obviously this was before everything shut down. The screen, and we have a TV screen in the lobby where parents can kind of watch and see what's going on. And then I snuck into the class to take those group photos. So it's just a really kind of fun and silly layout. So I thought it would be okay to use the Valentine's theme, because it can also be kind of just fun and whimsical and playful. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull a whole bunch of different patterns. Mostly I'm going for just different shades of the pinks, but also I just wanted different little patterns that were kind of fun, like that pattern I've used. To me, it almost looks like a genetic coding, like DNA coding, but it's just kind of fun and brings in a lot of different colors. And then I have a bunch of scraps, so I thought I would go ahead and use those. And the sketch to me just feels like a whole bunch of different elements all kind of fit together, almost like a grid, where everything is kind of, a different shape or a different size, but then they're all kind of pieced together with several pictures and things like that. And so I guess I am. I was going to say I'm not quite doing that. I kind of am, but I added a little bit of layering in behind my photos as well, just to kind of break up some of the white from the background and add in some interest, because I really wanted this to spread right across 2 pages, and I felt like I just needed to add some extra elements in there to kind of give myself more to work with. So I've got a couple of those papers that will actually go right across both pieces of paper, both sides of the layout, so that's why they're overhanging. And then I'm gonna just take my photos. I matted them on that darker paper that you see kind of sitting on top of that DNA one. I used that to mat them all, and on top of those layers I'm just gonna start to kind of build my little pieces all fitting together. So mine definitely comes out looking a lot more layered than grid-like, but I was going for that same kind of feeling of having just chunks of elements kind of fit together all over the page. And because I'm using scraps, I think this works really good because I can get away with using some of those little pieces, like that little one I just put down now. I'm kind of just tucking that in, and it all just looks like it fits instead of having little scraps that are kind of, haphazardly placed all over. So this is definitely a fun layout for me. I love doing things like this, and getting to use up a bunch of those scraps is perfect. So here you can see is another scrap of paper. I'm going to go ahead and kind of stick that down, and I have just a really fun layered base. I guess for this sketch, more than taking kind of like the literal feel of the sketch, I'm going for just the general feel of that sketch. I also have some rose paper up at the top, and then that kind of marble effect paper up there too, just to bring in lots of different shades of pink. And the tutus are pink, so I wanted to definitely make sure I had some elements that were a little bit lighter pink, because you can see there it kind of matches the tutus. So now I'll go ahead and cut off the overhang, and then I can start to build the other side. And I'm very intentionally not mirroring the papers. Because I'm using scraps, I knew that it would probably be a challenge to try to really stretch some of those little pieces all the way across and do a kind of mirrored effect. So both sides of the layout are going to have the same elements, the same papers, but in different dimensions and in different layers. So you could almost have each side be its own layout, or you can kind of read it as one full layout because those two pieces go right across. Those are the two that kind of connect the layouts together. And I think a sketch like this really lends itself to a 2-page layout where maybe the left side could look a little bit more like the sketch, but then you can just kind of keep carrying on the pattern of putting those blocks and pieces and, patterns and shapes and stuff together. So it's kind of fun to see how people are going to stretch this one, because I think there's so many different possibilities. But really for me, I just wanted to have fun kind of taking the time, piecing everything together. I love doing this, and I kind of go through phases, I think, where I will do layouts that I think are a little bit more simple, or don't have as much of this layering, or don't kind of take up as much of the paper, and then I will go back to doing layouts like this where I just love to tuck things in and nestle pieces together and kind of play around with where I'm going to put all the different details. So it's just fun. It gives you a good opportunity to kind of experiment with how patterns sit on top of each other, and how layering works, and how to work on balancing things. So it's definitely the type of layout where you can kind of practice some of those skills of piecing things together and just having some fun. So I added that large piece of wood grain that also comes from the Hello Love, and I did use it to mat 2 photos, one on each side, but I wanted to bring a little bit more in there because it kind of brings in a neutral that is darker than the white, and so it balances it and kind of grounds it a little bit. But I used such a large chunk of it on the right hand side that I really wanted to bring some into the left hand side as well. So I put it up at that top little section, and because my photo that I've matted with it is a little bit bigger, I think it kind of helps to make it almost look like it's going across the page vertically as well. And then I'm just kind of tucking these photos in, and I have these 2 teeny tiny ones, so I popped them up just to give them a bit of a fighting chance at standing out. And then I have just my last few little pieces of pattern here. And really, as I was going, the only thing I was worried about was making sure I didn't completely cover up any of my watercolor and that all of the patterns were represented, and that's it. So I think it's kind of fun. There's tons of details, and it's almost like there's little steps and shelves and stuff. So as you're looking at the 2 pages, your eye is kind of going across all of the little, chunks and spaces. I'm using a lot of words that I feel like aren't actually describing what is happening, but I think you can see what I'm talking about in the layout. I don't know if you can hear in the background, but I have a snoring little baby right beside me. He was just so exhausted the last couple of days. He's had a bit of a stuffed up nose, so I think he's been waking up a lot at night, and it's causing him to not get a good night's sleep. So he was just so exhausted earlier that he couldn't even wait to go into his playpen or go to bed for his nap. He just fell asleep on the couch. It's kind of the first time that he's actually fallen asleep outside of his own bed, it's sweet. So I don't want to move him, but you might hear little baby snores, and I think he's dreaming because occasionally he's smiling as well. So now I'm going through my Maggie Holmes sticker book. You guys, these sticker books are crazy. I don't even know what to say about them. I've been using these for well over a year. Actually, no, we're going into 2 years now. And I feel like I haven't even put a dent in them, but in almost every video, I mention them at some point. So these are such a great value. I wish I had picked up all of them that I found at that time. We were traveling in the States in 2019, and I got them in, I think these were from Tuesday morning. Could have been, no, definitely Tuesday morning. I should have got them all. Why didn't I get them all? They're super expensive to get here if I can even find them. Yeah, if I had known they were going to literally last me forever, I would have bought all of them, and I would never need to buy another sticker ever again. But the Maggie Holmes just has all these beautiful kind of Valentine's-y colors, and so it works so well with the Hello Love collection, or any Valentine's collection really. And then there's also a ton of images that work really well for ballet, like all the flowers, the roses, the swans. That's definitely something that I would struggle to use normally, but on a ballet themed layout that actually fits in really nicely. So I got a bunch of swans on there. Well, 3 swans, and I got some roses. And then I love these little banners that she has on several of the pages. There's some that are more of a solid pattern, and then here you can see some that have, other patterns, roses and butterflies and things like that. And that's the other big theme too, is the butterflies. But there's also cute little deer and bunnies, and I think any of those could have worked for this ballet layout, because obviously they were just, goofing around and being funny. And so those whimsical little creatures would work really good, but then they're a little bit more kind of sophisticated, which is nice for a more senior level ballet layout. So it gives you that nice balance, because sometimes the whimsical animals and those more whimsical elements can come off as a little bit childish, but I feel like I could have gone with any one of those stickers and asked Kaylin's opinion, and she wouldn't have felt like I babied the layout too much at all. And I do have some of the ephemera from one of the Maggie Holmes collections. I can't remember which one it is, but it's, I have ephemera from a few of the collections, but this one collection had a few ballet figures in it. And so I pulled out the acetate ballerina, and I kind of put her on the left-hand side of the layout, because I knew I was going to put my title on the right-hand side in the general place where the title is in the sketch. So she's kind of a nice big element to balance out the title. And then I have a little space underneath her for some journaling. And for my title, I also found it all in the sticker book. So I ended up going with capture happy moments. The words happy and moments just happened to be in 2 different shades of pink. So I thought that that was a sign they were meant to be on this layout. And this was definitely kind of a happy moment where the dancers were all able to just really relax and have some fun and, connect to each other, because sometimes ballet class can be super intense when you're working towards exams as you get up into those higher levels. So it's fun to see the dancers just kind of be a little bit more relaxed and goofy and be able to be more casual that way. So it was definitely happy moments. And I kind of liked capture because these pictures here, I'm actually capturing them from off of the TV. So they didn't know I was taking those pictures. So it kind of worked there too. And then I finished everything off with a scattering of Spiegel Mom scrap sequins and some splatters from my Recollections Black Mist. And that's it. That's my layout for this Stretch the Sketch. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can see who else stretched the sketch today by clicking on the links down below. And until next time, happy scrapping. Bye.